One last question. Now going to go to Congressman Cliff Stearns, Republican from the great state of Florida, on the Scott Hennon Show right now. Congressman, welcome to the program.
Rob, glad to be on.
Glad to have you on. Tell me that we're not rushing into $500 million loan guarantees to green companies in order to make a presidential photo op. Is that really what's going on here?
I'm afraid it is. The emails we got, I chair the subcommittee. We had the hearing yesterday. We had the senior loan officer from the Department of Energy who was responsible for giving out the money, over $500 million, which, of course, Solyndra now is in bankruptcy, and 2 days after bankruptcy, they're raided by the FBI because there appears to be money that's not accountable, money that may have been used for fraud and waste. And so at this point, the emails show that everybody at the White House, including Vice President Biden, the emails show that they were rushing to get a photo op, and there was no due diligence. It's certainly not enough to make people feel confident at the Department of Energy and the Office of Management and Budget, who have the responsibility for determining that this is a credible business transaction.
So, I mean, essentially, is what we have here is the Obama administration, and obviously they made a great deal of political hay out of the stimulus. They were looking. I mean, what was more concerning to them was a photo op. Was the political making political hay rather than ensuring that these tax dollars were going to be used in a responsible manner.
Well, that's true. I mean, I cited in the hearing an email from a senior OMB official to Vice President Biden's office, and it basically said, I'll quote it, "We have ended up with the situation of having to do rushed approvals on a couple of occasions. We would like to have sufficient time to do due diligence before we do it. The approval set date for the announcement is wrong, and we need due diligence." So, I mean, these are exact quotes from OMB emails to Vice President Biden, and frankly, the review process took backseat to the whole need to get the photo op for the vice president and other administration officials.
Now, yesterday we had learned, or it had been reported that Obama administration members were testifying before Congress saying that this was something that the Bush administration already had in the works. The Bush administration was already working towards approving the Solyndra loan and almost seeming to suggest that it wasn't really their fault. They just rubber stamped something that the Bush administration had started. Is that true?
That's exactly false. In fact, in my opening statement, I pointed out that the credit rating agency, which is part of the Department of Energy, which reviews every project before it goes out, actually turned down the Solyndra project because there was insufficient information on its financial background and what it was trying to do. So the Bush administration actually turned down the Solyndra project, and the project, when Obama became president, his administration quickly changed it. Now, the reason why they changed it is something that I think we all have to understand, that politics is involved here. And for whatever reason, we have George Kaiser, who is a large bundler of the administration during the presidential campaign, was one of the chief investors in Solyndra. And his hedge fund, Argonaut, gave money at the tail end, just before they went into bankruptcy. And the worst part about this deal for taxpayers, in addition to losing the money, is they got subordinated by these hedge funds, these two hedge funds, including Argonaut, which is George Kaiser's hedge fund, so that the Department of Energy allows these two hedge funds to get money out before the taxpayers, which is really against the law. So the Department of Energy, in my opinion, broke the law. The Energy Policy Act of 2005 said anytime taxpayers' money is at risk, they get first right in the event of a bankruptcy. Under the clause that was negotiated by the Department of Energy with the Argonaut hedge fund, whose main proponent and investor is George Kaiser, is that that Argonaut gets first to have before taxpayers, and that's against the law.
So what you're telling me is that's what this subordinated term means, because I heard that being thrown around in the committee too. That's what that means, is essentially they came in and they said that the investors in this company were going to get the investors, and by the way, Barack Obama Democrat campaign contributors were going to get their money out of this deal before the taxpayers. That's what
correct.
that means?
That's correct, and that's against the law. Now, the Department of Energy hedged on this, and frankly, they said the interpretation they took is that they understood that this was possible to negotiate it that way to help save the company, but never have, under the law, the Energy Policy Law Act of 2005, this was never allowed. Anytime the taxpayers are in with an investment, they get first opportunity to get their money back. It's like a first mortgage on a house. The person who gives the second mortgage doesn't take over the house and get if there's a bankruptcy, the first mortgage gets what's left.
So we're talking earlier in the program, and by the way, I'm speaking with Congressman Cliff Stearns. He's chairman of the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations, which is handling a look in on this Solyndra deal. How many? I mean, we talk about it was rushed for a photo op with Vice President Joe Biden. How many warning signs were there that this was a bad deal? When we say it was rushed, I mean, what specifically did they overlook?
Well, part of the problem was that the people who started the company said they had a patent that's going to make it very superior in terms of solar panels in the market. Now, as you know, China is developing a solar panel market, and they're flooding the United States with this low labor cost solar panels, and it's making it difficult for Americans companies to compete. So some of the due diligence was whether this patent was actually up and running, or was it still a lot of research and development? Well, it turns out.
Sure. Well, Congressman, let's finish that thought. I've got to go to a break. If you could hold over, we'll finish that thought in the next segment. I'm Rob Port, sitting in for the chairman, Scott Hennon, with Congressman Cliff Stearns on, talking about this Solyndra debacle. We'll be right back right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back. Rob Port, sitting in for the chairman, Scott Hennon, talking with Congressman Cliff Stearns. He's chairman of the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations, looking into the Solyndra debacle. Congressman, I know you're a busy man today and you got to go here. One last question for you. We hear the president making the case for another jobs bill. It sounds suspiciously like a second stimulus, the same sort of funds that ended up in Solyndra's hands. How is this, I guess the only word for it is debacle with Solyndra, going to play into the passage of that bill?
Well, and I've called for the president to give back the roughly $10 billion the Department of Energy has to give out at the end of this year for more stimulus, green, solar energy, wind type of things, and give it back so we can reduce our debt rather than have more debacles like we're having with Solyndra.
All right. Well, Congressman, I know you're a busy man. I'll let you go. Work hard, and we'll keep watching what develops with the Solyndra deal.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
All right, Congressman Cliff Stearns, House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations chairman on Solyndra, which is just a growing scandal, and it's just